Hi you guys, it's Tonya, and I wanted to share with you today this card that I created using the image that I showed you how to color and to layer in the previous video. So I'm starting out with the 6x6 paper collection of celebrations from Webster's Pages. I got this from Flamingo Scraps. I just absolutely love this paper collection. It's so whimsical and fun and great for your party type cards. And it's really cute because there's like roses in the top of cupcake liners on some of the patterns in the paper. So I'm just going to fussy cut out this top part, and notice that as my blade moves around the image that I'm actually turning my paper rather than my blade, and this is going to give me a much smoother fussy cut around those edges and eliminate some of the jagged edges. Also, the card finish size is the 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Paper is so cute, very whimsical, and perfect for our little girl image that we just designed. And I'm planning on giving this to my niece for her 7th birthday, so it's just so perfect for a 7-year-old little girl. This is real time, folks. I am actually thinking about what I want to do next while I'm sitting here. So I decided on making a banner, and first off on my mat I'm just putting a strip of glue, and that's going to hold my washi tape in place while I get my stamped image. The sentiment says happy birthday. It's from Inkadinkadoo. And I'm just using archival ink on that washi tape, and I'm going to hit it with my glue gun to just dry the ink so it doesn't smear when I try to fold the banner. This particular brand of washi has a paper backing on it. So then I'm going to take my just a standard toothpick, and I'm going to fold that washi tape around to make the banner. These banners are so popular right now. I'm gonna blame House of 3 for this, Rana and Janet and Heidi, because they seem to make this really popular. And then notice how I cut to make that banner. I just find the center point, cut that straight down, and then cut in from the angles, and it makes the perfect banner size. Now I'm going to take my Spiced Marmalade Distress ink, and I'm going to color that stick so that it doesn't just look like a plain stick. And this color kind of matches part of the pattern too in the paper. Now I put that to the side and let it completely dry while I do my card. And I'm just using some ATG tape to glue that in. Sorry about the camera angle here. I didn't realize I was so close to my webcam. Now I'm going to take some hot pink cardstock, but I noticed it was just a bit too bright. So I'm taking the Worn Lipstick Distress ink, and I'm going to distress around the edges. And yes, that is my applicator tool there. I took the handle off of it so that it would stack you know, one on top of the other on my shelf and not take up as much room. And I prefer it, actually. I really don't like the way the handles get in the way. And I'm just using a blotter piece of paper there so that the ink doesn't get on my mat. Since my rest of my design is so pale, I really don't want that hot pink to be on my station and be messy. And what you don't see after I put this away is that I did clean that surface really well, and I cleaned my hands really well, because again, touching this light pale card, I didn't want that ink residue on my hands. And I know I already glued that piece. I don't know why I glued it a second time. So I'm just lining that up. I think I ended up trimming off a little bit off the edge of that card. And then I'm just going to place it on my card. I like to find my center point and then add my glue and glue the top pieces down. I know that's kind of backwards from what everybody else does, but sometimes my mind works a little backwards. So now I'm just deciding placement of that celebrations title. And I decided I think I want it on a pop dot. I'm just using the Scotch three-dimensional tape that you get from most department stores. It's cheap, and I go through it like crazy. And I have been known to pay $35 for the big, ginormous roll from Staples, but it's so worth it because to me that pop dot is the best. It's not super sticky, but it's a permanent bond, and it gives me a chance to pull up the image if I need to before it is permanently bound. Again, just okay, so now I'm gonna find a placement for my girl, and of course, I glue her down and decide to change my mind. So, I know none of you ever do this, I'm sure. So I went to look for some lace because I felt like there needed to be something down at the bottom. And of course, I try to hot glue the lace down, under her feet, and epic fail. But this is how my brain works. I never know where I'm headed with anything, and I always say I don't commit, I don't commit. But what happens is I find that if I don't commit to something, I never get anything done. So I just dive right in. It just seems to be better, and I usually end up in destruction mode. Anyway, as I'm pulling her feet up to put this lace underneath it, I kind of had the feeling that I was changing a baby's diaper. Isn't that crazy? But watch this. I'm going to grab both her legs, lift her hiney up, stick the lace underneath, just like you would if you were changing a diaper. Okay, enough of that nonsense. But this is literally how I craft. I'm just, my brain is just working as it's going, and I'm like, oh, what if I did this? Oh, what if I did that? Kind of like Dora in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. Anyway, so I found this other little remnant of lace that was just laying around in my stash, so I decided to kind of layer it on top of the last one. Once again, tucking it under her legs is a bit of a challenge because she's glued. rose leaf to cut those out. They're the perfect size for my little flower cluster. I think sometimes that these little rose leaves will help ground those clusters. I'm not even applying any ink to it, but that's the sponge that I used for the side of the pink. It's got the worn lipstick on it. And it just kind of adds a little bit of depth to the leaves. And now I'm just going to kind of tuck them around my cluster. And like I said, it's just more or less to just ground these flowers to the card and just give them a little bit of weight towards the bottom. I I just like it when flower clusters have leaves too. I just kind of think it adds a little bit something to it naturally. And then of course I decided I usually work in threes, but because of the way this card was, I went ahead and did fours because I was trying to hide that stick from the flag. And since I'm giving this to a 7-year-old, I really didn't want her to, be able to get to the point on that stick. Now I'm taking my remnant of my washi tape that I just used, and I'm going to cut little teeny tiny little banners to place down at the bottom of my rose cluster. And like I said, there's a little backing on the back of these, but I couldn't get it off. I think it was ripping the paper part, so I gave up and just put some hot glue on it. Just said, forget about it. Oh, and again, I don't know if you saw that in video or not, but I went around the edges of the banner with the red distress ink too. Sorry, I'm a little out of frame while I'm cutting that, but I thought it was important that I see what I was doing so I didn't cut my finger off. Once again, fussing with that stinking tape, gave up and put some glue on the back of it. Again, if I'd have been planning this project, I probably would have planned those little tags before I glued those flowers down, and I wouldn't have had to fuss so much. Now I'm just taking some hot pink banker's twine and making a little figure-8 bow with 2 loops on each side. And I'm digging in the trash right now for the stems from those flowers, because the stems are perfect to use in the center of the bows, because if for some reason you do happen to see the stem, it looks like it's part of the bow or part of the flower. So, I just like using that over the silver wire. The silver wire would just stick out like a sore thumb. So I'm just twisting that really tight in the center of that bow. And I'm going to tuck that bow right into the top of that cluster of flowers and just let it hang down the little tails. I think the little pop of pink also helps to build that visual triangle between the flag and the girl's outfit, between her shoes, her shirt, and then the flowers. So now that I'm looking at the card, I'm thinking that it might need a touch of something else. So I grabbed up that same sponge with the worn lipstick on it. I did not reapply the ink. I'm just lightly touching around the edges of the card because I just want a hint of color over that yellow, just to kind of soften it down a bit and draw your attention back to the center of the card. And one more final touch. I feel like those flowers are just a bit bright. They match the word celebration and the little hat off to the left, but I think they need to be toned down just a bit. So I'm going to take my picket fence distress marker and just paint over those yellow flowers. The one thing you need to remember with this picket fence is it is a pigment ink because it's white, and because of that, the applicator is a little bit different, and the ink kind of goes on invisible and then it appears as it dries. So at first you think, it's not working, but really it is. And you'll see in the final picture how bright it turned out. But it's just a very light, subtle overtone, or, over color, like almost like a whitewash effect. And it still leaves the vibrancy of the flower. It just kind of gives it another dimension. More like a shabby chic look. So that's the conclusion of my card. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Thank you guys for watching me through the two different videos. One, the girl, which is on a previous video. If you want to watch, I'll put it in the description in the bottom. And then the making of the card. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, and go check out Flamingo Scraps for more fun goodies. Thanks.